When you're writing JavaScript code and something doesn't work, the first thing you want to do is check for a syntax error. So when I click on Show More, nothing happens. What you want to do is you want to right-click and go to Inspect. You have several choices here. You want to go to the console. And notice it will tell you an error message and it will show you the line it's on. Sometimes the error message is not obvious, sometimes the line number is a little off, but at least it will give you some kind of an idea on where to look to begin with. Now, this Inspect tool, which is part of the debugging tools that comes with every browser, only shows syntax errors. It will not show a logic error. However, it's always a good place to start when your code is not working. So I'm going to go to line 62. And here, and we saw this in the message, it doesn't know what this is because you misspelled window. Now that was a very simple error. Now if I save this, and I reload my page, now notice, everything is working. However, Show More doesn't change to Show Less, but at least you know that the rest of your code is working. Now let's take a look at what we have here. We want to click on this, 1H2. We don't care about this H2. We don't care about any other H2s that might be in here. So this is our starting point, ID equals info, and based on that starting point, this is the element we're clicking on. Now in the FAQ example, the author was clicking on 3 H2 elements, therefore he needed to do a loop. You don't need to use a loop. What you're looking for is get elements by tag name H2. Now that constitutes an array or a collection. So you don't need to loop through this collection and set up an onClick event for every H2. You only need one H2. And because you only need the first H2, you are looking at an array index very similar to what we looked at in the quote of the day. So this will give you the element you need to click on. So if we get rid of all this, and I think we get rid of that, and let me do this. There's our onload. All right. So let's save this. There we go. So in my instructions, I did mention that this is different from the FAQ and that you would lose points if you added extra code, which you did. This is all you needed, and this is what I was looking for, that you recognize that you can work with this array or collection and retrieve the individual one. Because all we want to do is click on this. We do not want to set up an event handler for this also. Even though when you're clicking on it, nothing's happening, it's still going to be writing unneeded code behind the scenes for that second H2. Now, obviously, you have the logic correct here in the if. So if it has the attribute, we remove it. If it doesn't, we set it. So when the page starts, we're executing the code inside the else. So if we add the code, at this point, we want to change the text to show less. You already have a variable set up for the H2. So if I were to add the H2 inner HTML. Now I would be also changing the text and adding the class at the same time, which is what we want. Now we might need to change that text back, so all I need to do is to put it up here, and let me save this and see how that works. There we go. Another thing you want to be aware of, the inspect tool also helps you to see what JavaScript is actually doing with your code. Now I'm on the Elements tab, and I'm going to go into my ID. Notice there's class equals more because we expanded it. When I click the first time we have the H2 and the div is hidden because of the CSS, and it says show more. Now when I click again, you can actually see the change, and there's a little bit of animation here. I click and I can see the change down here. I click, I can see the change. This is very helpful. It's very helpful for debugging your CSS, and it's also very helpful for seeing exactly what JavaScript is doing and writing. It's not just enough to eyeball it in the page. You want to make sure that everything is being added correctly. So you did a very good job with all this. It was a matter of a simple syntax error and adding some unneeded code here because that was how the author set it up in the book. And this is a little bit different from what was in the book.